Okay, this is time for the comparisons that I want to make. So this is where we're going to get more into spoiler territory. So the movies I'm going to be talking about at this point are Midsommar, Hereditary, and The Wicker Man, both the original English one, British one, and the American remake. So if you haven't seen any of those films and they're on your list and you want to go and see them, then, you know, maybe watch them first and then come back. Or, like, I don't think it's gonna, like, ruin the experience of seeing them, but it's as like the types of movies they are, it'd probably be better to experience what the director wanted firsthand before listening to other people say, oh yeah, this movie's got this in it. So yeah, final warning for spoilers, probably going to be spoilers from here on out. Alright, so with the movies, as I was watching Midsommar, I noticed that there was a ton of things in the film that really strongly resembled Wicker Man movie. So much so that it's been referred to as the Wicker Man for the new generation and various other things like that. But yeah, just to run off a couple of them, I'm going to say both because the American one is a remake of the British one, so it follows the same basic template. So both films are set in a rural village with pagan beliefs. They both have a series of pictures on the wall, which are the May Queens from previous years, the winners of a particular dance around a maypole. The dance around the maypole, again, is featured very prominently in the films. The main characters in the films are outsiders to the world that have been sort of brought there by somebody who lives in that community. In The Wicker Man, it's a request to find a missing child. In Midsommar, it's a friend that they met in America who wants to bring them to his homeland, which is this little village in rural Sweden. Both of the tribes, or villages, cults, whatever you want to call them, with their pagan beliefs, they are focused on harvests, and they both also believe in human sacrifice. There are plenty of other like little links and stuff like that, but one of the other ones that I wanted to mention, just because it stuck out to me as being like a cool little nod to the fact that there was an original Wicker Man and then a remake, is that in the remake of The Wicker Man, Nick Cage punches an innkeeper and steals their costume to infiltrate the festival. The costume that he steals is a bear costume. In Midsommar, again, we're deep in spoilers here, the end of the film, the character of Christian is sewn into a bear before he's sacrificed, therefore kind of making him wear a bear costume. And now the other thing, though, is that in the English version of The Wicker Man, the original one, it's not a bear costume that's stolen. It is a costume for Punch from Punch and Judy, which is the jester character. In Midsommar, the character of Mark, which is Will Poulter's character, when he's killed and his body is brought into the sacrificial place, he's wearing a jester's costume. So it stood out to me as sort of feeling like that was a little winking nod to the fact that the two costumes that were stolen in those two films both end up being burnt at the end of this one. So that's what I want to talk about with those. There's also the similarities and differences with between Midsommar and Hereditary, because again they're both the same filmmaker. Now the similarities between them is both films deal with loss, specifically familial loss. In Hereditary, it's Toni Collette's mother, or it's hard to say who the main character is of that film, because Toni Collette and the son actor, who I really need to learn the name of because he was fantastic, they both have sort of equal screen time and importance on the story, but yeah, so in that film, the mother / grandmother is the one that dies at the start of the film, which is then followed by, again, spoilers. I'm going to keep saying that because there's a lot of big spoilers. The death of the little girl in the movie, which is the sister / daughter. Now, in Midsommar, the familial loss is from our main character, Dani, loses her parents and her sister in one night. She loses all of them, which is a particularly upsetting scene, but it's told really sort of wonderfully. The visuals are fantastic, but again, that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about comparisons. So both films share the familial loss themes. They both also have a ending in which a group of people are worshipping something. In Hereditary, it's the cult worshipping a demon. In Midsommar, it's a cult worshipping their pagan gods. So it's, in a way, it's sort of the reverse with what the cults are praying to, which leads to another one of the opposites between the film, which is the color schemes. Hereditary is a very dark film. Midsommar is incredibly bright. Really, both films are very lovely to look at, but they're very different on the color palette there. There are also some other smaller things like links between characters, and in Hereditary, a link between a character and an inanimate object, and then in Midsommar, it's more links between people instead of objects. There's burning things in both films. Actually, there's burning things in most of Ariosto's stuff, which I think goes back to one thing that I read about him, which was that the first film that he saw was a Dick Tracy film, and there was a shot where there was a character with a Tommy gun standing with a background filled with fire, and he was so scared that he jumped up and ran out of the theater, and then his mother had to go and find him a couple of blocks away. So he has a unique sort of link to fire. And then there are probably a ton more things. If I had have actually written anything down, then I could have probably done this a lot better. And of course, people smarter than me and who have had more time with the films would be able to work out a lot more links in there. But that's the end for this part. Next up, I'm going to talk about just various thoughts and themes and things. So stay tuned. Okay, my thoughts on the themes and various other things about Midsommar. There's a lot to go through with the movie, and again, I should probably have written this out first instead of just rambling, and also maybe attempted to see the movie more than once, but I have a lot of thoughts in my head, and I'm just going to try and express them as well as I can. So, as I mentioned earlier, the film is both a breakup film and a folk horror movie. It has strong elements of both, and you can't deny the breakup aspect of the film because the writer-director has outright stated that was his inspiration for the film. It actually occurred because he himself had just had a breakup, and he wanted to put his energy into creating a film to give him a sort of catharsis from his relationship ending, which is, again, super spoilers, the ending of the film. So in the film, the character of Danny is dating Christian, Jack Rayner's character. In the film, it's shown that Christian has been wanting to end things with Danny for quite a while. In the same token, it's also revealed that Danny believes things are ending, or that Christian wants to end things, which she does not want to, and she's upset about that aspect of their relationship. But throughout the film, we sort of get to see a lot of the aspects of how Christian deals with confrontation and anything that might be deemed sort of awkward or hard to confront. There's a party that happens near the start of the film, and it's revealed there that Christian and his group of friends are going to be heading with their friend Pele to his hometown in Sweden. This is something that Danny did not know about, and when she questions Christian when they're alone together, his first instinct is to leave. Until she assures him it's not a problem and he should stay, because the way he deals with confrontation has shown to be to put things off until something happens, which that is very vague, but what I mean by that is like he's going to put off breaking up with Danny until she wants to end things. Then he ends up inviting her to Sweden without telling his friends, so that they will have to be the ones to say that she won't be allowed to come, or allow her to come. Either way, it gets him out of having to deal with any sort of confrontation, because they can't tell, like, he's putting himself in the middle of the situation and then extricating himself to say, I have no ties to this anymore, you have to deal with it. It's also something that comes up later on in the film when he suddenly decides to write his thesis paper, which he had been putting off for a very long time, as mentioned by the character Josh. And then when he finally does decide to write his paper, he's going to write on the same topic that Josh is writing on, and he also gives him the helpful, or he gives him the option to collaborate, meaning, you should do my work for me so I don't have to. So he's a very non-committal character who it basically is in situations because he doesn't like confrontation, he doesn't like dealing with his problems. He'll go so far out of his way to avoid his problems and to make them other people's problems. Then that's, basically the way the character is shown throughout the movie, He's never there for Danny, not really. He views that, like, consoling her after the loss of her family is sort of like an obligation for him. It's not something that he's not offering any further information, like telling her it'll be okay or anything like that. He's just sitting there while she cries. So he's very detached from the whole situation, and there's probably a part of him that is hoping that she'll just fade away so that he doesn't have to deal with it. Then we have the character of Pele, who is very warm towards Danny. He lost his parents at a young age as well. Or he lost his parents at a young age. She's not super young, but he lost his parents as well. So he knows about the loss of family. However, he has the family of his community back in his hometown, which is something that he wants Danny to experience, which is why he is excited about the fact that she is coming to Sweden with them. So this sort of, like, it's the regular sort of archetype of our lead character is a girl who's going through some things. She has a boyfriend who's not right for her. He's not a monster, he's not abusive, he's not physically violent, but he's distant, he's detached, and it's a relationship that's not going anywhere. But right under her nose is Pele, this wonderful guy who is right for her and wants the best for her. And in a wonderful scene in the film, he asks the question to her, does Christian, or do you feel held by Christian? Which is a real sort of turning point in their relationship as well, because that's when she starts to remember that he hasn't really been there for her. It's her birthday in the film, and Pele draws her this amazing portrait and gives it to her on her birthday. Christian forgets, basically, and then ends up getting a little cake thingy and tries to light the candle for quite a long time, telling her that he forgot which day it was because of the plane flight. So it's again just another subtle sort of showing you that one character's not right, the other one might be, but she needs to move on from her past in order to give him a chance. Moving on from the past is also another major aspect of the film, because she's not only trying to, or needing to move on from a relationship that's not working, she needs to move on from the grief that she's experiencing from losing her family. So she's trying to let the past, she's stuck in the past, and by coming to Sweden and experiencing it with all her friends and her lover, she's trying to move on from the past, which is something that Pele wants for her as well. It's something that the village wants. They want her to feel loved and that she has a family with them. Which brings me to the next thing that I was going to talk about, which is mirrors. There is a number of wonderful mirrored shots in the film. The one that comes to mind is when Christian is trying to tell his group of friends, hey, I invited Danny to come to Sweden and I didn't tell you. He moves off camera, but because of the way the shot is framed, his reflection appears on a fish tank that's very center frame. So we've got him in the background that's now the reflection, and then all the other characters are on screen talking to him. Now, this is a technique that's used in a ton of movies. It's a good way to have a character that's off screen still somewhat appear on screen, to have all your characters face the same way without the question of why would they all be facing the same way instead of each other. But because of the abundance of mirror shots in the film, it made me believe that there might be some more significance to them than just this is a good shot. Especially seeing as the opening shot of the film is a reflection of the main character and there's no dialogue. It's just showing her reflection. And then again, I've only watched the film once, but there are multiple mirror shots that occur early on in the film, especially in America. Then when they head to Sweden, there is one mirror shot like fairly soon after they arrive, or not even actually they arrive to the village, it's actually just before they arrive at the village, where they run into Pele's brother Ingmar, who gives them mushrooms, and she freaks out. When she freaks out, she runs into a little shed, and there's a mirror in there where you get a very quick glimpse of her sister, because she's still being haunted by the thoughts of what happened. There are a couple of other shots, like when she sees death, where her parents and her sister's body appear very shortly as well, because they're still, like, she's directly associating those memories. But the mirrored one of her sister, really, to me, it showed that she's still in the past. She's still holding on to those thoughts. As the movie progresses, though, the mirroring becomes more abstract. Rather than the mirroring being a reflection, it ends up being the characters in the village are mirroring other characters. So it's a more organic, sympathetic look at mirroring. There's scenes where a character is breaking down crying and the villagers cry with her. They don't try to tell her, oh, don't worry, everything will be alright. They just experience the same pain that she's experiencing. At the same time, that scene is sort of mirrored by another scene in which the very, very strange sex scene where the characters are mirroring pleasure in the same way. Also earlier in the film, there's a scene where two of the village elders have to... they've reached the end of their life, so they have to commit genocide by walking from a cliff top. One of them dies immediately, the other one does not. It doesn't fall right and it just breaks the leg, and the villagers have to finish him off, put him down, but at the same time you can see them all reacting in pain, as if they're mirroring the pain of their fellow commune member, because he is part of their family and part of their life. The film also ends with another emotional mirroring, where the characters are burning in a pyramid. Two of them are Ingvar and another guy, Ulf, or something like that. He's another villager who volunteered to be sacrificed, and he starts screaming as he's burning because, you know, fire bad. But when he starts screaming, so do the rest of the villagers outside of the pyramid, and along with them, Danny starts to cry and feel that pain as well. But eventually everybody calms down, including Danny, because she goes through the catharsis of leaving the past behind, the thoughts of her deceased family, the relationship that wasn't going anywhere, all of that's now in the past, literally dead. And now she's found a family who really love and understand her and want the best for her. So it's, the way I see the film, it's pretty much like the journey of the character of Danny from a isolated, painful, dark world to a bright, new experience that she knows will end, but it doesn't, like, she's focusing on the now, which is the first time she's really done that in the entirety of the film. She's not focused on the eventuality of having to fall off a cliff and die at the age of 72. She's not focused on the pain and loss that she experienced from her family or the betrayal of Christian. All she is focused on the fact that she is alive in a beautiful place with beautiful people that love her. So that's, yeah, essentially my thoughts on the film. I'd love to re-watch it because there's so much more. Like during the drug trips where you can see the shimmering of like all the trees and the way the flowers sort of open and close or expand and contract. There's also a part where I believe you could see a face in the trees. It's not center frame, it's sort of off to the side and it's just for a small shot. So there might actually be a ton more things like that. I believe there's some background stuff that I wasn't paying attention to because I was focused on the characters. So there's probably a lot of like ritual stuff that's happening in the background, because the world sort of, the way it's set up is sort of that this is a place where these people do these things. So anything that's not on camera still occurs, as opposed to rolling the camera and picking up a particular thing and say, that's it, that's all that we need. It feels like there's an entire world there and that we're just focusing on these people because that's our gateway into this world. So I hope some of my rambling has been interesting. If you've seen the film and you have more theories or information or can fix any of the theories that I have, then I'd appreciate to hear more. So let me know in the comments. If you want to see other videos where I talk about other movies, want me to continue doing this sort of rambling nonsense, or if you'd like me to try and actually sit down and write a script and then read that out, let me know, and I'll go from there. Thank you for watching. If you made it to this point, ciao for now.